So, there are many shows that do have MCs that aren't afraid to go an eye for an eye. You screw them, they screw you. But they're not so common that, you're like, oh, okay, here we go, now the character is okay with killing. So when they pop up, it's always exciting because you're like, okay, it's edgy. Most people aren't going to deny that. But it's an edge you don't see often. The thing about the most notorious talker is they're going completely edgy. Like, this man, in front of a little girl's father, poked an eye out because he wouldn't pay him. And the dude deserved it, and he was ready to completely end this man's life. But it's the way they can blend this absolute edge factor with a character who doesn't feel like he does it just because he enjoys it, but because ultimately it's how the world works. You screw him, he'll screw you equally over. And then they so casually introduce this very heartfelt moment. They start the episode off in the most provocative way to then escalate into the most edgy brutality to end the episode on the sweetest thing possible with a girl who was literally for 21 years raised to be the most emotionless killer, to only be tossed aside and wondering what was that even for if you don't even want me, only to properly find a place in Noel the MC's arms. The show is actually legitimately good and is the exact type of edge that I think many of us crave, but usually the edge comes with a lot of BS. Luckily for us, Notorious Talker rarely doesn't have much BS to see. I have full live reactions over on Patreon. If you want to see my full and thoughts to any of this wonderful Talker episodes, it's over there exclusively. So, I didn't really pay attention to the title of the episode, so I wasn't expecting. I knew the dude was gonna screw us. I didn't know initially, when he paid us 200,000, because the whole idea was, hey, 500,000, go kill 20 bandits. Turns out it's 40 bandits, but still, okay, yeah, he screwed us over a little, but he paid us 200,000 up front. But by the time they got back, and he's like, okay, yeah, I'll pay you the extra money, but first dinner. I knew he was going to try some BS, but I personally thought the mom wasn't going to be in on it, because the daughter legitimately worshipped Noel and the ground he walked on. So when they finish dinner and things are okay, I'm like, okay, maybe he's going to try to get out of paying, but, we'll see what happens. The guy pulls out poison wine, and the mom's in on it. The idea that even if they drank the wine, it probably wouldn't have done anything because they're kind of used to poison, but it's the fact that he kept pushing it back, you first. And the fact that we escalate, and the brilliant thing which they show on episode 2, I think it was episode 2, there's abilities that Noel as an MC can use that are essentially illegal because it removes human rights. You are essentially turning people into slaves to admit things and all these things. But if the person has committed a crime against you, you are allowed to do so. So this man attempting to kill him means that ultimately he's allowed to use that skill. Now, if he would have convinced him to talk and he's like, no, I didn't try to poison you, then sure, it's probably in the realm that the mom or some of them could have done something with the authorities if they all ended up surviving there. But at the same time, we saw that yes, he did try to poison. And what's tragic about the whole thing is they start the episode off with this girl being like, hey, you made this for me, I really appreciate this. She just worships the ground he walks on. She's the reason we do get properly paid, but it's the fact that there's going to be people who will be like, how could she stand up? You will always stand up for family. If you've had a legitimately good relationship with your family, you will always stand up for them most of the time. She's heartbroken that he tried to kill him, but the fact that in front of you, you have someone who launched, poked out an eye, was going to poke out the second eye, cut off the nose, cut off probably hands. He was going savage with this. It is understandable why she was fearful and resentful, 100%. It's frustrating because the dad deserves all of it, but, you can't say he handled it subtly with how he decided. A nicer way might have been to say, hey, Pops and I are going to go outside and take care of business, and then torture the little bastard. But doing it in front of her is absolutely savage and ice cold. The fact that we go from a $500,000 payday to $1,020,000 payday, because we got $200,000 up front, $820 is what they ended up giving. And rather than going a situation where it's in most of these shows, they borrowed money from a mafia to pay them. If you don't pay the mafia back, you're all gonna die. So it's even bigger than just torturing her father in front of her. It's the fact that the whole family's probably gonna die now because of this whole debt. And usually an MC in these shows would go kill the mafia or whatever, probably get an extra payday, all's well that ends well. Instead, what do? They leave. They say, it ain't my problem. And that is edge. It is 100% edge, but it's the right type of edge. I'm a sucker for when an MC just is ice cold, but I much prefer it when the MC, because this is what was brilliant about when his party betrayed him, right? Like, he wasn't happy about it. He always assumed something like this could happen, but he hoped for the best. And as long as you don't screw him over, he will respond to you with equal respect. And I think that's what makes the whole end sequence of this episode so great, is that Alma as a character, I fully and firmly believe, will never stab him in the back. For him, he's obviously going to doubt that for some time, given his recent experiences. But a girl who was literally raised since she was born to be this emotionless killer gets tossed away because she's too dangerous. I'm surprised she didn't go for this man's head right then and there, but this man is the one who pushed her onto finding our boy Noel. At the idea that she went from thinking her purpose was to kill, to then being tossed away thinking, well, what was this all for? Now having a purpose next to someone who she can not only use those skills with, but protect and keep him safe. Now, he obviously is a little fearful of, like, she enjoys killing a little too much, and obviously that's going to be probably a bit of a foil going forward in their relationship, but you can just tell, like, how well written that whole dynamic was. And like I said, the episode started with her tits in his face. Ain't no one gonna say that was emotionally deep. It was there to sell some figures, let's be honest. And then the edge stuff, while it's well written, they definitely went as overboard as they could to make it edgy. But I like it. But then you add in that emotional writing and you're like, okay, we're not just dealing with something where we're just following these two characters who are as bland as, you know, watching paint dry. No, like, they're both equally interesting. And while I do assume we'll have the next party member sooner rather than later, I appreciate the fact that we got an episode like this that let these two work together to actually feel like there's a bond and chemistry brewing there. And whatever you want to define their relationship as, she thinks they brother or sister, and all I'm saying is that sounds like kiss sis if you ask me. But either way, at the end of the day, there's actually chemistry brewing here, and they're doing such a wonderful freaking job at how they're handling this. It is just, I love it. Like, you can nitpick the production, there's definitely inconsistencies with the animation and stuff, but in those key moments, man, like when he becomes a serpent and he's ready to strike his prey, the show looks absolutely wonderful, and the voice actors, man, they are going absolutely crazy, especially Alma during the backstory, or the girl freaking out about her dad. Just wonderfully done. Never expected this show to be nearly as good as it was, and honestly, I didn't think it would be as edgy as it is. But this is how you do edge, and it is wonderful to witness. Let me know what you thought down below, because I can definitely say Noel's one of my more enjoyable and I'd say top picks for edgy MCs in recent memory. Like, not the overall best of all time, but if I'm comparing the past few years, he's definitely up there for enjoyment for me. But let me know what you're feeling down below. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, of course, ring that bell, and like I mentioned, full live reactions over on Patreon, and hey, while you're over there, I'll also give you a video shout out. So today we got Aldiosium, Swanson, Jan Peterson, and we also have Hune. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care, and you all have a good one.